I'll digress slightly and talk a bit more about the coordinate systems, right? Because we'll see that if we want to use this equation, it should be negative wherever you use it. Okay, so just check in the previous discussion, I probably used this negative sign while writing the gradient of u. So you can check that and just keep that negative sign everywhere. Right. So when we are using this, now let us say my force is doing something like this. A simple, not the force. My potential is known something like this. A simple scalar potential A over R. If this is the case, then can I find the force relative to it? Yes, I can, because I know that it's simply this, which is then going to be equal to del over del x I cap plus del over del y j cap plus del over del z k cap and then a by r. Now, okay, this is our radial coordinate r, these are x, y, z, so we can also do that. We can convert this into x, y, z and x square, y square plus z square. Let's say theta, right? So this is fine, can be solved, but now it looks a bit tricky. Like rather, if suppose I would have only had a partial derivative in terms of r itself, then it's a very straightforward solution. It's just minus 1 over r square, right? So we can do something like this. We can do something like this by selecting appropriate coordinate system, and that's what I want to discuss now. That how to see these coordinate systems and how we can change these things. So we have, in general, we need to work with 3 coordinate systems: Cartesian, which is your x, y, and z. These are all orthogonal coordinate system, independent coordinates, Cartesian. There is cylindrical polar coordinate system, where the coordinates are defined as rho, phi, and z. And then we have a spherical polar coordinate system, which is defined as r, theta, and phi. So these are 3 coordinate systems. X, y, z are all linear dimensions. Rho, phi, z, phi is an angular dimension. R, theta, phi, theta and phi are angular dimensions. Okay. So all we have to do is write down different things in these 3 coordinate systems. So let's do that. Starting with the x, y, z. X, y, z. If I have any given point, it's characterized by its location, looking at its projections on the 3 axes, and that gives the components x, y, z. Right? It is characterized by 3 unit vectors I, j, and k. Right? So for let's write it down here. So for Cartesian, the coordinates are x, y, z. Unit vectors are I cap, j cap, k cap, and you can. So normally you can just identify if the cap is put here, that means a unit vector. This thing. Now, in the previous problem we saw that we have to do an integral where the dr is involved. So let's write down the infinitesimal increment vector, displacement vector dr. Now in this case, how do we describe an infinitesimal displacement from this point, right? If I want to move slightly away from this point, right, randomly in random direction, basically what I am going to do is I am going to move some bit in x direction, some bit in y direction, some bit in z direction, and since these are independent directions, I can write that change again as the change in x direction I cap plus the change in y direction j cap plus the change in z direction k cap, right? And that is why we write it down as dx I cap plus dy j cap plus dz k cap. So this is the infinitesimal displacement vector in xyz coordinate, and similarly I can write down this del operator there, which is now differentiation in x, y and z, partial differential, and that is then given as del over del x I cap, del over del y j cap, del over del z k cap. So these are the definitions that are useful for Cartesian. Let's do the same thing for cylindrical now. So in terms of cylindrical, we'll define, I said that I have defined my coordinates as rho, phi and z. But then what are these rho, phi and z? Okay. So let me define these rho, phi and z here. This is a normal three-dimensional Cartesian coordinate system x, y, z. Any given point here. We say that this point lies on the surface of a hypothetical cylinder. Right? So now all the points in space lie on the surface of some hypothetical cylinder of different height, radius, and other things. And now to describe its location, the information that I need is I take its projection on the xy coordinate system. I take this, so this is the projection on xy. The distance from center to this point is termed as rho. So this length is rho. This angle is phi, and this height along z coordinate is z. Right? So rho, phi, a point here, and the height z. Okay? So this is rho, phi, and z. We define unit vectors: rho vector, phi vector, z cap vector. Rho cap, phi cap, z cap. Where now again rho cap points in the direction of distance rho. Phi cap with the angle. So phi cap points perpendicular to this, and z cap is then in the z direction. So z cap is same as your xyz coordinate axis. And again, for example, in this here, rho and phi lie on the plane perpendicular to each other. Z will be normal to this. So all three unit vectors are orthogonal to each other. Of course, the change, the infinitesimal displacement here is now when I have to make a change, I need to go slightly different in z. So that's about dz. There is a distance from the center. It can also change. So d rho phi. The angle phi will go infinitesimally different as d phi. However, the dimensional change because of a incremental change of d phi along the coordinate phi is not d phi. Right? It's an angular coordinate. However, we are looking for dimensional change. Dimensions of a coordinate system are all same. So it's a length coordinate, the coordinate system describing length. Then all three has to describe length. So in that case, when we write down the displacement vector infinitesimal, this is d rho in the rho cap direction plus rho d phi, right, which is basically, if I change it slightly by d phi in this direction, it's this arc, the length of the arc. Right? So rho d phi cap plus d z cap. Okay. So this is the infinitesimal displacement vector in cylindrical coordinates. And now similarly we can write down the del operator, which is then del over del rho cap plus 1 over rho, del over rho del phi, which I'll write as 1 over rho del over del phi cap plus del over del z cap. Okay, and here again we should also note down, should see it very carefully, that infinitesimal displacement still is a length. So all its components have to represent length, have to have dimensions of length, right? So dx, dy, dz length, d rho r into rho d phi dz length. Similarly, in the partial differentiation with respect to some length along a particular coordinate direction. So del over del x, del over del y, del over del z, all dimensions of length. Del over del rho 1 over rho del over del phi, del over del z, all dimensions of length. Okay. So we'll end up by with the last coordinate system, which is spherical polar, right? And in case of spherical polar, again now what I have is we have our XYZ coordinate system. So x, y, z. A point P is placed here, and we take this point to be on the surface of a sphere. Okay? And then we describe different locations for this. So again, take a projection on the xy plane. Draw this distance. So now, if this is the point, then the radial distance from origin to the point is r. Its projection here, so we'll come back to the projection. It's the angle it makes with the z direction is theta, and see the direction which I am taking that angle, right? So now it's going clockwise is theta. Its projection on the xy plane, which is basically then r sin theta, right? Z will be r cos theta. So r sin theta, and the angle phi, and the direction of angle phi is the same as the anti-clockwise direction we have been taking so far. So phi is then the other coordinate which describes this. So all we have to find out is this distance r, the angle it makes with the z direction, and the angle its projection makes with one of the coordinates x here, right? So this is r phi z. So we will write it as spherical polar coordinates r. R theta phi. Unit vectors will be r cap, theta cap, phi cap. Again, r cap will point in this direction. Theta cap, increment of theta, will point in this direction, and phi cap, increment of phi. So this will point in this direction. Basically, at this location, it's going inside the board, right? So that is my phi cap direction. So r cap, theta cap, phi cap, all are orthogonal to each other. These are unit vectors. And now I can write down the infinitesimal length element. So this will again be dr r cap plus r d theta cap plus r sin theta d phi. Okay. Again, length. You should see from there. Draw that picture for yourself and see that these values are correct. And the del operator is then defined as del over del r cap plus 1 over r del over del theta cap plus 1 over r sin theta del over del theta, del phi, right? So this is the del operator in all these three coordinate systems. And now, depending on the problem, we can take a particular coordinate system and work with it. Okay. So do we need to write down something else? Well, I can write down the relation here. Also write down the relations here. So let's say in cylindrical polar, x is equal to rho cos phi, y is equal to rho sin phi, z is equal to z. Just to connect it to our the Cartesian coordinate system, here r is equal to x is equal to r sin theta cos phi, y is r sin theta sin phi, and z is r cos theta. If you want to take limits, you want to do integration, then again x can have values plus minus infinity, y can have values plus minus infinity, z can have values plus minus infinity. Here, rho can have values 0 to infinity, because this origin is here and there is no negative direction here. So from 0 to infinity. phi can go from 0 to 2 pi. I mean, in cylindrical one, so example cylindrical, this angle can make a full circle, and z can go from plus minus infinity. Z is a simple coordinate, normal coordinate, so can go up, can go down. This thing. Similarly, here in the spherical one, the limits are again 0 to infinity. Theta is this angle, so it goes from 0 along the vertical z up to pi along the negative z. So it just goes from 0 to pi, and phi, again same as cylindrical pillar, it goes from 0 to 2 pi. So these are the limits. Right. Of course, I mean, this is a lot of information which just needs to be known, and one should be aware of it and then use it appropriately wherever we require it. Right. So let's end this topic with the last remark that although I said that del operator, which is a vector, it does not have a physical significance in itself, right? Nevertheless, what we can do is, since it's a vector operator, we can still find, or we can still describe all the vector multiplications that exist between a vector and a scalar and vector and a vector. And in that spirit, we can write down expressions like del of u, where this is the vector operator, this is scalar, right? And then this is termed as gradient of u, which is scalar. We can also write down del dot, let's say f. So we can take a dot product between del and a vector. It's a valid dot product. We add a bit of more information here. This will give us something like a vector. So gradient of a scalar will give you a vector, right? Del u is a vector. Del dot f is going to be equal to some scalar. Let me write it down as b. Here f is not the force, it is some vector. So del dot f, just like a dot b, is going to be some scalar, right? We can define it like this. This is called divergence of f. What it means is not important right now, and we will see later in the course if it occurs somewhere. And similarly, we can define the cross product of this del operator with again a vector, which is again arbitrary vector. So del cross f, this is again going to give me a vector quantity, and now this is called as curl of f. Right? So in that sense, the del operator is a proper vector operator, which is defined like this. In Cartesian coordinate, at least, it's simple to write down things for it. So we already know how the gradient behaves. We can write down del dot f. Also in Cartesian coordinate, also already we know that all vectors will have can be written in component form. So in Cartesian, this simply becomes del fx over del x plus del fy over del y plus del fz over del z. So that's the divergence of any vector f. Del cross f is slightly more involved. You can solve this again. You know the del vector in its component form, you know the f vector in its component form. It basically is I cap, j cap, k cap, del over del x, del over del y, del over del z, fx, fy, fz. This determinant, and it gives you a slightly big expression. However, this is what the expression is. Okay, so we can do this, and we'll stop here. We'll not dwell any further on it unless there is a problem that we encounter where we need to apply this. Okay, and rest then we will start in the next lecture.